So 3D data is not an insignificant challenge from the perspective of creating content information type specifications. As you are all probably aware that 3D data is now widespread across many different domains and use cases, ranging from engineering product models, construction, video games, visualization, cultural heritage, etc. And there are many different techniques and technologies involved, both for the production and the visualization of 3D data. So it's not a simple problem. We have many diverse file formats, many of which are actually proprietary. Many software platforms also proprietary. And sadly, there are very few standards and few metadata standards which can be used to actually describe from a technical or from a descriptive perspective 3D data. Where there are standards, these tend to be aligned to specific use cases or domains. Examples being, in terms of standards, the LOTAR EN 9300, which is concerned with product model data, or built-in information model, which is concerned with construction. So the purpose of the new CITS is for the transfer of 3D product data to archives, as well as for the exchange of product data between different product information model systems. And the 3D CITS for product model data, which is computer-aided design, or it's product modeling, or concerned with, say, electrical systems or test systems, will be, as the CITS have been before, will build, of course, on the foundation of the common specification, the CSIP, and will build on the existing package specifications for SIP, APE, and DIP. But also it will be built on the existing international standard for product models, which is LOTAR EN 9300. LOTAR is the long-term archiving of digital technical product information. So it's an existing specification which is focused on the archiving of digital technical product models. In turn, LOTAR actually also references OAS, ISO 14721, as does the CSIP. And it also references a standard called STEP, which is ISO 10303, which is an open standard for the exchange of product model data. So that is an open standard where data can be exported from proprietary systems into a format which can be read independently of proprietary software, or can be imported into other product model systems. So what are the objectives for archiving 3D product data? So from LOTAR, these have been identified as being business requirements, so just the retention of knowledge within an enterprise. And by the way, the archiving of 3D product model data tends to be a commercially focused activity, obviously, because it's concerned with the design of products. And the second objective is for legal requirements, so such as proof of technical documentation for actions in law. So, for example, the long-term archiving of product model data is something which is, quite a significant issue within industries such as aerospace. So the manufacture, design and manufacture of aircraft, which have very long life cycles and, of course, have a heavy framework of regulation. So the use cases for archiving of product model data are the submission from different engineering departments in an organization to a centralized archive, the consolidation of archives inter-organizationally. This, because of the long life cycle of product model data, quite often then a product will go through one or many acquisitions or mergers of companies, and so archives within these organizations have to be consolidated. And then, of course, the dissemination of archival data and being able to prove the integrity and authenticity of the package and the data object when that is disseminated either for, as is described, the objective of learning, so actually discovering knowledge about a previous product, or about that data or that information going into a litigation process or a legal process which requires evidence. So what about how does the CITS likely to coexist with LOTAR? Well, interestingly, EN 9300 describes a wide range of use cases. So it isn't just CAD, it includes things like structural analysis, electronic assemblies, electrical test. So it's got some very specific sections which cover specific use cases as part of it. And it describes the processes for archiving of product model data, the requirements for the core data packages, and some of the metadata requirements. But it's not prescriptive in terms of package structure. So although it references OIAS, it is not prescriptive about the form of the package, the structure of the package, and the form of the metadata. It strongly references ISO 10303, which is STEP, and it has some specific requirements about the validation and verification of the product model data, and about digital signatures within which are actually provided on transfer of data by the submitter to the archive. So the principles in terms of writing the specification will be that I wish to be conformant to EN 9300, so we'll not have any requirements which conflict. So requirements within 9300 which affect the package will become requirements within the CITS 3D PM. But of course, the scope of the eArchiving CSIP will not be altered by requirements in 9300. So 9300 will still cover its own process requirements, but we will take the appropriate pieces out of 9300 in terms of the requirements of the package, and then we will layer that on top of the CSIP. One particular point that is likely to happen is increased use of premise, and particularly use of premise for actual recording events regarding validation and verification of product models, and on digital signature. So this is quite interesting, and will be an extension of within the CITS of actually specifying the use of premise and some of the event types which will be included in premise in the package. So the next steps are that I've started coordination with the LOTAR group, and particularly with the work group within LOTAR who are dealing with metadata, and we've started discussions about their requirements for metadata, work they're doing in terms of specifying more tightly in terms of metadata schemas as to what should be included within archival packages. And we hope that actually with the collaboration, we can actually provide value in both directions. So we can provide some frameworks and some existing standards and specifications they can use. And of course, I can get input from them as to what the requirements are going to be for the specific technical and descriptive metadata within the packages. And then, of course, we're hoping to get as much user interaction as we can. We've been working with Airbus Space and Defence on a previous project on creating an eArchiving conformant archive for 2D technical documents, and we would hope to extend that, as they are users of eArch, and they are also active participants in LOTAR. They're an ideal meeting point for creation of the 3D CITS around LOTAR. And some work which has also started is then extending this work into a broader look at 3D, and specifically for 3D models within cultural heritage, and the development of a new CITS for that data type coming probably within next year.